Howzit Punters, welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast. And in this episode, we're going to recap some of the recent Premier League games. We're going to have a look at the coming week of Premier League games. We're also going to be having a quick look at the past weekend of golf, NFL, and then also some NFL bets that we're going to be taking for week 3. With me as always is Simon. Simon, did you have a good weekend? I hope it was nice and relaxed.
It was sure. It was full of sporting action, Rob. With Premier League on the go, NFL, and the US Open. So it was great, and it was really nice weather here. Went for a nice long hike. So yeah, it was a great weekend. And yourself? Yeah,
also quite a chilled weekend. Had a small bit of I don't want to say a party, but a get together. That was nice. Something that we can now do. I don't want to say post-corona, but post early lockdown corona. Mm-hmm. And I watched a couple of games. I didn't catch too much of the golf. I was following it. I see my selections of Webb Simpson came, well, I don't want to say nowhere. He was in the top 8.
Not too bad.
But he was never a real runner. Before we jump into the golf, let's start off with the Premier League. I had Arsenal last week, and I also recommended a handicap bet on Arsenal, which would have lost. They won a very close game. They won by just 1 goal. So the kind of banker bet came in on Arsenal, but my other recommended bet on the handicap didn't come in. But I am happy that at least the one that I said to bank in your bet slips came through, even though it was a bit of a sweaty bum, squeaky bum time. How was your betting weekend in the Premier League?
It was good. I backed Liverpool, and that's how I tipped up last week, and they got the win. It was interesting to see how the market moved on this game actually throughout the week, because there was a lot of Chelsea money early on, which surprised me a bit. But the money did eventually come for Liverpool closer to kickoff, and the odds actually closed at 2.05, which was much closer to the true price for this match, I think, which opened up at 2.25. So I actually think that well over even money was actually a gift on Liverpool. So that was a good one. I didn't take any other bets, but other results which are quite interesting. Man United.
Yes, that was a big one, and I spent Saturday with some Manchester United fans, and yeah, not the best company considering those results.
Yeah, they had 76% of the possession, which just goes to show, it's not always how long you have the ball; it's what you do with it. Elsewhere on the card, Newcastle typically followed up their impressive 2-0 win against West Ham with a 3-0 home loss against Brighton. So it's just how it goes as a fan of the tune, is it not, Rob?
Yeah, it's just a lucky packet. Each game, you just never know what you're gonna get. And I liked your bets on the Liverpool game. I went for the draw there myself, and I'm glad your one came in very handily. We also, sidetracking a little bit from the Premier League, we had Bayern Munich smashing Schalke 8-0 in the Bundesliga. I don't know if you caught that result. That's a massive win for Bayern.
I did see the results. I didn't see any of the game, but that is a shocker.
Yeah, absolutely shocking. 3 goals in the first half and then 5 in the second half. What do you do as a Schalke fan there?
Yeah, that's an annihilation.
Absolutely. And so going back to the Premier League, anything that stood out to you? Was there wasn't too many games that stood out. Yes, Everton looked pretty decent moving forward. They also played a cup game, I believe, last week. And they're one team that I've got scratched up for this week, of one that I might be taking a bet on. But this coming week isn't the best week. We haven't had the best start to the Premier League fixtures wise, but we do have Arsenal against Liverpool. That's probably the highlighted fixture for me.
Yeah, undoubtedly, Rob. That's on Monday night. I think again, I don't know what it is with Saturdays in the Premier League this year, but again, the Saturday organising committee are kind of doing a shitty job here, I think, because it's a pretty dull card on Saturday again. I'm actually gonna, in terms of bets this week, we can chat quickly about Liverpool Arsenal, but I think my main bet will be actually to take Spurs on the -1 handicap, who are playing at home against my beloved Newcastle, and it's available at 5-4 or 2.2. That would be my bet of the week. But what are your thoughts on the Liverpool Arsenal game, Rob?
Liverpool easy win, 5-10. I'm not going to say it's one of the banker bets. I fancy Liverpool. I think for this match, actually, both teams to score is where my best bet's going to go. I haven't actually checked the odds on that. That was just having a look at all the results and all of that. So I'm just pulling it up now. But I do fancy both teams to score. We've got 13-20 for that, which is
Yeah.
not great. But I think we will see both teams find a goal there. I don't think Liverpool will keep Arsenal out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at these two teams, you just know, I mean, it's screaming both teams to score and also screaming over 2.5. And that's something I also looked at, but I mean, that's odds of 5 to 10. So
Not
that's
great.
even shorter on over 2.5. So to me, I think it should be quite an exciting game. I don't like the odds I'm getting on those two markets, so I'll leave it alone, but I think it should be a good one to watch nonetheless.
Yeah, look, I don't mind backing Liverpool at 5-10, 1-2. I still think it's a reasonable price, but I just don't trust. I'm not sure where Arsenal are going at the moment, and I like to jump on the Arsenal train, as I said last week, and I feel that train's kind of screeching to a bit of a halt.
It doesn't help when they come up against Liverpool away from home, does it?
Exactly. I mean, you're going to Station Merseyside now, and I think it might be the last stop for the little streak that they've got going. But I don't want to back Arsenal there. 5-1 is just not good enough for me to take a risk. Backing the Gunners, but I think that's definitely the highlight of it's on the 28th, so I don't even think it counts as the weekend. But both teams to score is going to be my call there, hands down. I don't see this being a low scoring game. I like your odds. Yeah, go ahead, Simon.
Yeah, I think both teams to score will probably happen in the first half, and if you're looking for a little bit of value on that bet, you don't like the 1.65. You're going to get well over even money for both teams to score in the first half, and that's also a live bet, I think.
Yeah, and another market that I'm just seeing now is Liverpool to win and both teams to score at 15-10. I might consider a small stab on that because the price is all right, but as I said, I think both teams to score is the selection for this week. And yeah, there's not too much else on the card, Simon. There's City are playing. We've got that's the weekend after is Manchester United versus Tottenham, so that weekend's looking a lot better. But the coming week is just rather dull. We've got City versus Leicester. City 1-3, a little bit short. We've got West Ham versus Wolves. I actually fancy West Ham to pick up a win there at 5-2. But I'm not going to be putting much down there. So very dry week, and I don't think there's too much else to discuss about the Premier League unless there's a particular game other than the ones that we've covered, Simon.
No, I think that's great, Rob. We can move on.
Awesome. So let's jump into some of the golf. I know you must be excited. I mentioned my Webb Simpson selection didn't come in. You had a bit of a runner there, though.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was dramatic and emotional, to say the least. I said last week the U.S. Open is it's a notoriously difficult major, and Winged Foot in New York State certainly delivered on that mandate. I mean, the cut line after Friday, being day 2 of the tournament, was 7 over. So just to put that into perspective, the average cut line in the PGA Tour is about 1 over. So that just shows you how hard this course was. And the eventual winner, Bryson DeChambeau, finished the tournament under par, and he was the only player under par. Can you believe that?
Yeah, so, Louis Oosthuizen with a strong showing coming in third, though.
Yeah, came in third, yeah. Bryson DeChambeau finished at 6 under. His closest rival, Matthew Wolff, he finished at even par for the tournament. He's a really, really promising young up-and-coming player. He's only 21. I think he's got a very bright future. But yeah, it was great to see DeChambeau get his first major win. As I've said before on this podcast, I just love this guy's mathematical approach to golf, and the fact he's got the kahunas to try some crazy things like play with golf clubs the same length, just because it works better for him. And I just think it's fantastic. But just going back to my roller coaster of betting wise, I mean, I tipped Patrick Reed at 45-1, and he was the first round leader. And he had a 2-stroke lead going into the first half of Friday, being day 2. He was actually 5-2 to win the tournament in play. So I was, of course, feeling pretty good about that. But on Friday, he completely bombed. He scored 8 over par on the back 9 holes alone. So basically, he bogeyed almost every single hole on the back 9 of Friday. And then Saturday was even worse. So it was very disappointing to have a 45 winner, on Sunday, looking like he was going to win, and then obviously bomb out. But I think on a course like this, you lose your concentration for 1 minute, and you can kind of
one mistake costs you.
Right, you can dig yourself a hole that's kind of impossible to get out, and to get birdies is so hard that once you fall behind, you kind of just sinking to the bottom. But on the plus side, I did get a 12-1 winner on Zach Johnson for coming top 10. This guy he's just an auto bet for any major tournaments. I mean, he had like no business contending at 150-1. but he tied eighth. So yeah, it was a profitable weekend. A pity Reed couldn't come through, but 2 out of 3 golf bets is a job well done, I think, by any standards.
Yeah, and just looking at some of the finishes here. Now, I'm not going to go. I'm going to call it the top 10, although it's not the true top 10 because you've got ties for 6 and 8. But all of them American except for Louis Oosthuizen.
Yeah. I mean, an American has won this tournament for the past, I think it's 25 years every single year, but they really do tend to feature. I think it's because the Europeans just don't get enough exposure on these kind of unknown courses that the PGA Championship. The PGA chooses for the US Championship. But yeah, I mean, this course is just. I mean, I can't even imagine what I would score on this course. Maybe 200.
I think I would kick the ball into the hole, and I think I might beat you there with the 150 or something, assuming I'm wearing big enough boots.
Yeah. It's great though. I just look forward to this every year because of the fact it's just such a test. I mean, it's great to really see golfers being challenged to this degree.
And when's the next big tournament coming up, or the next big Open, Simon?
That's a good question, Rob. Let me quickly have a look. We've had quite a flurry of majors recently, of course, but I'm not 100% sure offhand. But let's have a quick look here. The next one is going to be in November.
Okay, so quite a while away. So we're going to be on a golf hiatus for a couple of months for a major. That's the next major, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be the British Open. Yeah.
Okay, British Open. They play that at St Andrews, or is
no, that venue does change.
Okay, sorry, St Andrews. What am I thinking? Scott. Anyway, so moving on to some NFL now. The week was all right. I had 2 bets there. I fancied the Bills to cover, and I'm just looking at my notes here. What was the other one I fancied? Well, there were a couple of ones that I fancied, but my bets were... Sorry, it wasn't actually 3 bets that 4 bets that I mentioned that I went 2 for 4, and I had Packers on the spread, I had Ravens on the spread, I had Vikings plus, and I had Bills minus, and only 2 of those 4 came in. I think my 2 on the podcast didn't come in, or one of the 2 came in. But it was a bit of a mixed week on that side for me as well. I was a bit surprised with the Dolphins as well as the Colts actually. So those ones cost me my bets there. And your bets, Simon, how did they fare?
Yeah, they were good. I tipped up the Atlanta Falcons, who covered the 4.5 point handicap against the Dallas Cowboys. But, I mean, it ended up being a much tighter game than it needed to be. The Falcons were leading 29-10 at halftime, so they had a 19-point lead. And they actually lost the game 40-39, so they lost by one point and covered. But, so we needed the points in the end. But, I mean, I don't think we'll see another comeback like that in a while. It was insane. I mean, of 79 points is obviously a lot in the NFL too. So I'm very surprised they didn't win outright, but thankfully we did have them on the spread. Other games in the week that were interesting. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs nearly lost outright to the Chargers, but they managed to win in overtime. The Chargers have a new rookie quarterback, Justin Herbert, who actually the only reason he actually played was because Tyrod Taylor, the starting quarterback, he managed to injure his chest in a warm-up. I don't think I've ever heard of that happening, but
injured his chest in a warm-up. Jeez.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he was like posing for a photo on Instagram or something, flexing. Yeah. But anyway, Herbert took his place as the starting quarterback, and I'm pretty sure he will stick around because he had a brilliant game. So I'm afraid I think Tyrod's going to lose his place. And then last night there was an interesting result. The newly named Las Vegas Raiders, who obviously, well, they used to be based in Orlando, Florida.
Yes, the LA Raiders.
Correct. Yeah. So they played against the Saints, and they managed to beat the Saints, which was quite a shock result. Obviously, the Saints being one of the favorites to lift the Super Bowl. So that was quite a shock result. Did you ever go to New Orleans when you were?
Yes, I did. I loved it. I had a blast. I didn't go to watch any games. I watched the Tennessee Titans in Nashville.
Yep.
And I watched the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. So those are the 2. I watched a couple college games, but Those are the two big ones that I remember going to that I've got photos
New
of
Orleans
somewhere.
is such a, well, this as I say in American, New Orleans is such a fantastic.
New Orleans, yeah.
I think I was drunk for 5 days straight when I was there.
Those hand grenades that they sell, those so for guys who don't know, they sell these. It's similar to what they have in Vegas, but it's like a vase. It's like a big vase, a plastic vase. I could best describe it as something that looks like you put flowers in. And you buy this thing for like $10, and you can get it refilled with some of the strongest booze I've ever drank in my life.
And you can
at any of the pubs, and you can drink on the streets. And just make sure you have a couple beads to throw around at Mardi Gras.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was they played this was in Las Vegas though. Never mind that we were just talking about New Orleans. But the Las Vegas Raiders played at their new $2 billion stadium, which is actually nicknamed the Death Star. And if you have a picture of it, if you see a picture of it, you'll see why it's called the Death Star. But it's pretty cool. But looking ahead, Rob, do you have anything in mind for bets wise for week 3 of the NFL?
I don't like the prices and the caps this week, to be honest. A lot of the favorites I feel are a bit too heavily favored. But in the sense that I also don't want to back the dog at those at those lines, just because of what the caps are coming in as. For, I mean, the Falcons versus the Bears, I fancy the Falcons there. I can't take them for a straight win, but I don't like them on the cap either. But on the flip side, I also don't want to be taking the plus on the Bears. Actually, I'm seeing it's 3.5. I might get involved on that Falcons one, seeing that it is 3.5. That's okay. Another one that stood out for me was the Steelers, but once again, the price was just not good enough. And then the Patriots taking on the Raiders that we were just speaking about. But once again, I'm just not happy with the handicap. So it looks like this week I might be keeping my powder dry. I think the Saints might be a bet as well. But once again, the prices are going to have to move for me to get involved.
Yeah, I mean, this week in the NFL, in America they call it home chalk. There's a lot of heavily favored home favorites, which I mean, a lot of them are over the 3, they're over the 7 points. So you're obviously taking a little bit of a risk when you lay those points. I like the Falcons again this week. As you mentioned earlier, playing the Bears, it's over the 3 points, so it's that territory where a lot of people will take the Bears because they're getting the hook over the field goal. But I think I might actually take the alternative handicap, so take them at minus 5.5, and then I'll get 11 to 10 as opposed to 9 to 10 because the numbers between 3.5 and 5.5 are not worth a lot in the NFL.
No.
And then another bet I really like is the Packers plus 3.5, and that's actually against the Saints.
Okay.
So this bet is not so much a fade on New Orleans because they lost against the Raiders. It's more that I think the Packers are a great team this season. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he finally has the receiving core he needs.
Yeah, it's been years,
to be the best he can be. And I mean, he's thrown well over 300 yards in both his previous games, and the team scored more than 40 points in those games too. So I just think, again, it's over the 3 points, which is obviously always a bit of a dangerous game when you're backing the team on the minus. But I think this handicap's too low, so I'll take the Packers on the plus, playing away at the Saints.
Nice, and I hope that Rodgers can stay healthy for the rest of the season because it's something that the Packers have been plagued with in the past, and it's great that he's got a receiving core that you said, and I mean such a talented quarterback, and he's got one Super Bowl I think to his name, or
that might be one or possibly two.
Yeah, just should be so much more. He's up there with the likes of Tom Brady and Drew Brees now, in my opinion at least. But so a couple bets there. Like I said, on my side, not too much that I really fancy. Like you said, the home chalk. I actually took a bet last week where I was messing around for whatever reason it was on Betway, and I ended up taking a whole lot of the favorites, and then I was taking bets that were I think under around 6 to 10. I was just basically taking all the NFL favorites at that price. And I sent you the bet slip, and I managed to get quite a lot of them right. I think the bet's actually still running. I think all the NFL ones came in, and it was basically a blind bet. Just looking at it now, I've got the Bears, I had the Cowboys, Packers, Colts, 49ers, and the Steelers. So not too many, actually. So 6 bets, all from 1.38 up to 1.6. And I'm surprised that came in. And I remember a few years ago where every week I would literally just back the favorites. I'd put a little accumulator together where I would take all the favorites in the NFL and I'd put, 20, $30 on it. And there were a couple of times it paid out, especially early on in the season. So it's something for those guys who don't have as much money to spend, but would like to get involved in some betting. I think that might be a good value proposition.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you've got to remember about the NFL is it is probably the most efficient sports market in the world, which means that the odds are almost 100% right every time.
Yeah.
So, the bookmakers, obviously things happen in sport and upsets happen, but, if you're backing those favorites, there's a very good chance they're going to win, for the simple fact that so many people have bet into those markets that they're very sharp, and they're not often wrong. So, if you're going to do that sort of thing and throw a whole bunch of bets in an accumulator, the NFL is a very good way to go.
Especially with the home teams. So I recommend doing it for the home teams. If you're seeing someone like I don't know, it's a bit late now, but the Patriots, for example, playing away, it's not always a guaranteed win. Some of the bigger teams away aren't always guaranteed wins. So I generally, for that kind of bet, I would just stick to the teams that are playing at home, that are around 5 or 6 to 10 or lower. Look, if they're 1 to 6 like the Colts are this weekend against the Jets, I'm just going to leave that one out because it's not adding any value to the bet to the accumulator at 1 to 6, and the risk that you're taking on adding an extra match. It might not seem like a lot, but that could be the match that sinks you, for example. But that's just something for guys to try out if they're keen to string some of these accumulators together. I'll see if I can pop up the screenshot of that one later. But I think that wraps it up for this episode. Simon, is there anything else you wanted to cover before we end off the show?
Yeah, well, just seeing that our next podcast, we're not quite sure when it'll happen. I just wanted to quickly chat about the French Open because that starts on Monday.
Apologies.
No problem. No problem. So I'm just going to chat quickly about the men's because we don't have a lot of time. But so the French Open, or Roland Garros, which it's also called, starts on Monday, which is the only clay court Grand Slam of the year. If anyone who has even a passing interest in tennis probably knows, Rafa Nadal,
King of Clay,
is always the man to beat to this tournament. But this year is a little different because there's normally 4 clay court tournaments to play warming up to this event, whereas going into the French Open, they would have only played Rome, which is a clay court tournament, but obviously just one tournament going in, which I think will make quite a big difference for a player like Nadal, who normally warms up with these smaller tournaments and is red hot in form by the time he gets to Roland Garros. He often wins all 4 of the warm-up tournaments before he gets to play at Roland Garros. So I think that I'm not saying it puts any doubt that he's going to win, but it's just something to consider. I mean, the truth is, when you look at this market, anyone besides Nadal or Djokovic has to be considered a long shot.
Even TM at 28 to 10.
Is.
I mean, you look at anything past that, then they all jump up to almost 20 to 1, and you've got Stefanos at 18 to 1 is a fourth favorite.
Exactly. So, and that's for good reason. I mean, this is Nadal or Djokovic's tournament to lose. Obviously, Nadal favored just because of his history, but you're taking a huge risk by betting on any other player, basically. But thankfully, we have each way markets and we have to make the final markets. So I like the Argentinian Diego Schwartzman at 35 to 1. So I would either bet him each way, which would basically be the same as to make the final bet. The only difference between those two bets would be if he won the tournament, I would get more money than if he just made the final. So you could take that bet either way. You get smaller odds on to make the final bet. And another one I like is Stan Wawrinka at 60 to 1. There's obviously doubts about his form.
What price did you get there? 16?
60.
60 to 1. Oh, yeah. Wow. I'm looking at him here on WSB at 34 to 1.
Yeah, that's Sunbet. He's 60.
Wow.
Sorry, not at Sunbet. Unless those odds have literally just changed, because I saw him available at 60 to 1 on. It was either WSB or Sunbet.
I hope you snapped that up.
Yeah, I didn't actually, but I'll find it somewhere else. Luckily, I've got a few out, so I'll find a book that's got a better price.
Sorry for the distraction. Back to Wawrinka.
No problem. So Stan Wawrinka's he's a good underdog for this tournament. Again, I would never back him to win, but I would back him each way, or to make the final at 60 to 1. There's doubts about his form because he's only just started playing after a long injury, but he's also very, very good on clay. On it when he's in good form, he can certainly rival Nadal or Djokovic. So that's another consideration. But yeah, look, it's a tough tournament to bet, and you kind of got to just basically take a bet on another player at a long shot and just hope he makes the final. But it's more than likely going to be Djokovic and Nadal, if we're honest.
Yeah, and just looking at the odds, I mean, I'm struggling to see someone that I can take that I feel could beat almost anyone in the top three. I had a look at Monfils, so 67 to 1 for maybe a semi-final spot if you can get the betting there. That's what I'm kind of looking at the moment. Mm-hmm. But man, there's such little value in this. Do you think we'll have a bit more value in the ladies, or do you think that's going to be more of the same?
Always. There's always more value, and that goes across all surfaces. But while there's more value, there's obviously more uncertainty. But I still prefer betting the ladies for that, in the sense that you can find players that have a very decent chance at 20 to 1, whereas in this tournament, even third, Dominic Thiem is kind
terrible.
Of, to me, it's like to be honest, that's about it. To me, in my mind, that's about a 3-4% chance. Whereas I can get a player in the ladies, at 20 to 1, who I think might have about a 10% chance. So it's just hard to find value. But that's why betting into that to make the final market is the way to go, because one of these players could just slip. Have a bad day, and it could just be one of them in the final and playing a player who wasn't expected to be there. So it's always worth taking one of those long shots, I think.
Definitely, and I was just having a quick look at some of the odds, and the odds are all over the show for Wawrinka. You're getting odds of 34, 35 to 1 on WSB. I saw over at Sunbet you're getting a whopping 50 to 1, and at Sportingbet you're getting 26 to 1. So you're getting almost double the odds at Sunbet on the exact same thing that you'll be getting at Sportingbet. And look, go find the best bookie with the best price.
Exactly.
I'm just a little bit surprised that this is really all over the show, considering that he's a fairly big player and he's in the top 10 kind of finishers or top 10 favorites.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that I agree with you. Also, I mean, the bookies can. It's interesting to see the prices so different like that. But when you've got a market which is so top heavy, it almost doesn't matter as much, because the chances of really risking the liability on the bookies is a lot smaller in a tournament like this, because it's much more likely that those top 2 or 3 are going to win. So but always shop around for the best number, because you can often find something, as you say, like 50-100% better at another book.
And here's another nice example for you is Monfils at WSB, and I'm not bashing on WSB or the feed provider for this, but Monfils is 69 to 1, and at Sunbet you're getting. You sure you want to hear what you're getting at Sunbet? You're getting 126 to 1.
Wow.
So that is once again almost double. So
it looks like in that scenario they've kind of shifted their odds based on maybe one or two bets, which is crazy. Which obviously means they don't have a lot of liability on those outright markets. If they're moving them that freely, they obviously don't have a lot of money, a lot of people betting into them right now.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, low liquidity on those markets at the moment. And I think we'll see as the price is settled a little bit closer to the time. But guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Best Sports Betting Podcast. We're not sure if we're going to be back next week. I'm going to be overseas for a while. I'm not sure if I'll be able to record. I'm not sure if I'll be able to actually edit. And I'm just going to have to play it by ear. So we are hoping that we can have one up next week. Otherwise, if there's nothing next week, we'll be definitely be trying to get one up for the week after that if everything goes according to plan. But so this is going to be cheers for now, guys. Simon, thanks for joining in for this episode.
Thank you, Rob. It was a pleasure.
And hopefully we'll be back with our nonsense, our sports betting nonsense in a week or two. Guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.